In this video, I'm going to show you how to do an eye-to-eye prusik in 8mm Ocean Polyester hitch cord. Ocean Polyester, or Ocean Poly as it's often called, is a double braided rope, so we're going to use standard double braid splices to create the eyes in the end of the hitch cord. The tools that you're going to need to do this splice are a measuring tape, a pair of scissors, Sharpie marking pencil, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pocket knife or a cutter to cut the cord. It's handy to have some alligator clips. You're going to need an 8mm tubular fid and a couple carabiners. You'll need a small marlin spike. You will need some tape, and to do the lock stitching on the cord after you've done the splice, you're going to need whipping twine, and it helps to have a couple of pieces of heat shrink tubing. You don't have to do this, but I like to cover up my lock stitching with heat shrink tubing after I'm done. You're also going to need a small wire fid like this one. I got this one from Mark at Fids and Fibers, but you can make your own, or you can buy one from Wesper for I think about 12 bucks, something like that. Not quite as fancy as this, but they certainly work. All right, so those are the tools you're going to need. To start this splice, the first thing you're going to do is to do the layout for one of the eyes in the end of the hitch cord. To do that, you come up the rope one tubular fid and you make mark A. Then for the eye, we're going to do a 3-inch eye. So we're going to come 3 inches up from that mark right there and make another mark. And then above that mark, we're going to make, that's mark B. Then mark C, we're going to make one short fid above that mark. And on a tubular fid, if you look, you'll see that little double line right there. This is a short fid right here. So measure up one short fid above mark B to mark C. So those are our first 3 marks. I'm going to, just so you can see them easily, I'm going to mark those with string so that they're more visible. You don't have to do this, but it makes it easier to see what's going on. Okay, so there are marks A, B, and C. Above mark C here, we're going to measure up 5 fid lengths, and we're going to put an alpine butterfly in the rope. So this doesn't have to be exact, but just measure up roughly 5 fids above mark C and put an alpine butterfly up there. This just keeps the rope from moving above the splice, just keeps it from getting messed up above our splice. Okay, so go back down to our layout section here. Now from mark A here, to do the taper on the tail, we're going to measure up 8 strands and make a mark there, okay? So you're going down towards the tail, count 8 strands down the rope and make a mark. And this mark is, you make this mark fairly distinct so you can see it easily. This mark right here is where the core and the cover cross over inside the splice, so it's a fairly important mark in this splice. All right, so now from that mark we're going to continue towards the tail, and we're going to mark off at least 6 pairs of strands that we're going to remove to create the taper in the cover. And those we do at 5 strand intervals. So just start counting 5 strands and mark a pair, 5 strands, mark a pair, and work your way down the rope. Mark a pair. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, there's 6 pairs marked. And we'll come back to those later. The next step in this splice is to remove, right here at mark B, we're going to pull the core out of the cover. To do that, we take our little marlin spike. I'm going to remove that string to get it out of my way. Just bunch up that cover a little bit. You want to now work down through there with your marlin spike, getting strands out of the way until you get into the core of the rope. Okay, once you get in there with your marlin spike, then you pry back on these cover strands with your fingernails as you pry up with your marlin spike. And this is where it's really important. Don't get any of those cover strands caught up in there. Looks good. As you can see, that the core is starting to come out. Okay. Just work the cover strands back as you pull up. Bend the rope back real sharply as you pry up. Once you get it coming out like that, you can often take your those pliers and just put them on there and pry back like that as you pull down on the cover. Core will come sliding out of there. Okay, there we go. So now that I have that out of there, I'm going to pull that out, just kind of pull it out a bit until the rope kind of bunches up over here between the alpine butterfly and the core, and then I'm going to milk all the slack back out of there. This just equalizes the cover and the core, gets them oriented correctly. So then right there at that point where the core comes out of the cover, I'm going to make a mark. Then I'm going to pull that out of there, and from that mark this is my layout on the core now. From that mark I'm going to measure up the rope one short fid and make another mark. And then I'm going to make a third mark above that. I'm going to go up one fid plus a short fid and make a third mark. Okay, so those are the three layout marks on the core. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now we're going to go back down here and we're going to do the taper on the cover strands. Take the tape off the end of the rope here. And then we're just going to start pulling those cover strands out of there. So remember this is that transition point where the core and the cover cross inside the splice, and then this is the first of our pairs that we have marked. So we'll start taking that pair out first. So just carefully go in there with your marlin spike and grab that strand and bring it up and out of there. Be careful to just get one strand. As soon as you can get your pliers in there, you can grab it with your pliers and start pulling it out. And you'll notice I'm being very careful now to pull away from, I want to pull in this direction, pull away from the end of the cord. Don't pull from, if you pull from this direction, you'll bunch up your eye and ruin your splice. So just gently pull that way. Grabbed two, didn't I? That's okay, it was our marked one anyway. So we'll pull both of those. Okay, there's our first pair. All right, so just keep doing that. Just keep it taking the pairs out till you get all 6 of them out. Okay, so there's our 6 pairs marked for removal. I'm going to put the clip on the end of the tail here so that it doesn't unravel any worse than it already has. And we're going to cut those off right where they come out of the rope. All right, so there's the taper on the tail. So the next step now is to bury the core inside the cover. We're going to go in at the transition point here, through and back out over here at this mark over here. Okay, so we bunch up the rope a little bit, take our fid and shove it through from here over to here. So just go in between the cover strands up here at this mark. Okay, when you get it in there, just shove it right along, being careful not to shove it and get it caught inside the core strands. And bring it out. You're going to want to come out right here so that this goes in on this side. All right, just like that. Now, before we put this in and pull it back through, I want to reduce the volume on the tail here a little bit, just because this is so fat that it won't pull through here very well. So we come back about 5 inches and take out about half the strands. So in each of the different strands, take out about 2 carriers. That's pretty good. Okay, you're just going to cut those off where they come out of the rope. Okay, then we're going to go up just a little higher and take out just a couple more, just to thin it out even a little bit more up towards the tip. Okay, so now we're going to just take this and put it in our fid. And leave about an inch and a half sticking out like that. All right, now you're just going to pull this through until it comes out over here. So just milk it towards there and pull hard, and it will slide right on through. If it gets tight towards the end here, you can put your handle of your fid over a cleat and then just pull on this direction. So just milk it this way. Okay, there we go. Okay, so just pull that down a little farther. Good enough for now. All right, so now what we're going to do is bury the cover into the core, all right? To do that, again, there are 3 marks on the core. There's just the first mark we made, second and third. We're going to go in here at the second mark and come out at the third mark. So we want to put our fid in at the second mark. Run it through the middle, being careful not to come out the side, until you get over to this second mark and come out through the side right there. Okay, so now we take our cover strands, put them inside the fid, and pull the fid down until those start going inside. And just wiggle this back and forth, and that'll shoot right through there. Okay, so this is our crossover right here. And we're going to pull on this and on the tail over here to close that crossover down. Okay, so start pulling here. Be real careful not to let this go back inside here. All right. See how that crossover closed down right there? Pull on both sides, pull on this side and on this side to get that crossover nice and snug. Okay, so now all we have to do is do the taper on the cover strands here. Finish that up. If you recall, we tapered part of it, but now we're going to taper what's still sticking out here. So just start right here where it comes out and take off a couple of strands. And then just work your way up, taking about every half, 3/4 of an inch, take off a strand or two. The idea is to get a long, gradual taper. Okay, let's take a look. That's pretty good. We'll just... Okay, so there we go. So now I can hold on to the crossover here and just bury that. Okay, so there's the cover buried inside the core. Now we go back here to the crossover, hold it and milk the rope this way to get all the slack out of this section here. So just milk the cover back that way. Okay, so now all we have to do is get rid of this tail before we can bury the whole splice. So we go to right there where it comes out, mark that right there, and then pull that out of there. Just give it a pull until you can pull it as far as you can, and then about 1/4 of an inch short of that mark, cut it off. Okay, then we have to taper this. So just right where it comes out, take off about half the strands. Start pulling out pairs of strands right there. If you get 3, it's not a big deal. You're going after about half the strands. All right, then cut all those off. Okay, then what's left, you're going to flare those at a long, gradual taper. All right, I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go hook this up on the cleat and we'll bury that eye. So now we're ready to bury the eye. To do that, we just start pulling on this, and you'll see that this part will just bury really quick. So if we pull and milk this way, see how this right here is going to go inside there? Just milk that down until it goes inside, all right? Okay, so here is our eye. I'm going to keep milking the cover over the eye as I close it up. Keep tension on both sides so that this feeds in smoothly and doesn't get bunched up. So I'll go down the rope and I'll milk slack, and as I do that, I roll that inside the eye. When I get to the point where my finger doesn't fit anymore, then I put a carabiner in there. And then I just keep pulling the cover or milking the cover until I can cover the eye. Okay, see how that's closing down? Just massage it a little bit so that the strands all get relaxed in there and oriented where they want to be, and just give that another shot. So we'll milk the cover until we get close to the end, and then we pull hard, okay? All right, see how that's closing up? Massage it a little, and then milk the cover till you get close to the end, and then pull hard. All right, so we're just about there. One more time. Okay, so there, the eye definitely closed down that time. That's how we want it. So there's our first eye. Now we got to cut the rope off and put the splice on the opposite end. Before I do that, I want to pull all the bunching out of the eye here. So just put that over a cleat and milk the bunching back this way. You want to get all the strands in the cover stretched out so that the rope is laying in its normal position. All right, I'm going to make this prusik cord about 28 inches long. To do that, I need to lay out my cord and measure from the eye over here 38 inches. All right, so I'm going to measure over here 38 inches and make a mark. So that's where I'm going to cut the rope off. Before I cut it, I want to put tape on here so that the ends don't unravel on me. And I'll cut that off. All right, so now I have to put the eye in the opposite end of the hitch cord. First thing I do is go over here and do my layout for this tail. And we are going to do the same thing we did on the other end, exactly the same. So we'll measure over one fid, make a mark. Do a 3-inch eye from that mark. Make a mark. Go one short fid above that and make a mark. Okay, so now here we have the same 3 marks that we did on the other end. We have mark A, B, and C. Go from mark A down here, we're going to count 8 strands towards the tail, and we're going to do our layout on the cover. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pairs marked there. Okay, so the next step is to remove the cord from the cover back here at the second mark, at mark B, all right? So just work your way down through the cover strands and the end of the cord. And start prying up on the core strands as you push back on the cover. All right, there comes the core out of the cover. All right, so now we'll equalize the core and the cover again from the eye. Just work back and pull all the slack out of there. And make your mark on your core where it comes out of the cover there. First mark, and pull that out of there. And mark up one short fid to the second mark. There's the second mark. And then you got to pull really hard here. You're going to measure up from that second mark. We're going to measure up a fid plus a short fid. So go one fid plus a short fid. Okay, and there's our mark. It's going to be right there where the rope comes out of the cover. Right there. All right. So it's really tough on this splice. You gotta pull hard there to get that third mark on there. There it is. Okay. So marks 1, 2, and 3. And over here on the end, we'll go ahead and do the reduction on the tip of the core. So back about 5 inches, start pulling out pairs of strands. Okay, and then cut those off. Go up a little higher and just take a couple more up in here somewhere just to get that volume reduced. All right, so there's that. Then we go over here on our tail and we do the taper on our tail. So again, here's that transition mark, so we're going to take these pairs right here. Oop, got to take the tape off or they won't come out. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good enough. So just cut those off. All right, so there's our taper on the cover. So now we have to bury the core here inside the cover like we did before. So we'll just pull that out, bunch it up, and here's our mark back here where we want to go in. We're going to go in on the back side here, through here, and come out over here at our transition point. So take our fid, and again, here's our mark. So we'll go in right there. And we want to come out over here at the transition right there. So we'll just take our core, put it in the fid, pull that down snug like that. And then start milking this as you pull that through. Okay, pulled in, and now it's over to here, and it's going to get tight. So I'm going to put that on my cleat and pull hard this way. Just milk it this way. Okay, it comes right through. So now we have to put the cover inside the core. And here's that first mark, second mark, and the third mark is clear up here. So we're going to go in here at the second mark, right here, and we're going to go all the way through here and come out up here at mark 3. Okay, so the fid has to go in up here at mark 3 and over here and out at mark 2. Okay, so there's mark 3. We just go in right here. and over here to mark 2. There's mark 2 right there, so we want to come out right about there. Then we're going to take our cover, put it inside our fid, and pull that through. Okay, so now we just have to pull all this slack out of here to get that crossover to close down. Put the clip on here just so you don't lose that tail. Pull here to close the crossover. All right, so this is being stubborn. It doesn't want to come through right there, so I'm just going to put this in the vise. Tighten down on it real tight. Okay, and then I'm going to milk this way to get that to go in there. So I just kind of pull on this. Okay, see how the crossover is closing up now? So I just keep pulling until that goes in like that. So now we got that through there. We can take that back out of the vise. And we can pull on these 2 tails to close the crossover. Okay, so I'm going to take I'll get a clip off here, and I'm going to hold on to the crossover, and I'm going to pull on this to close that down. Hold the crossover from this direction and pull on this tail. Just the idea is to get that crossover nice and tight. Pull on both ends alternately to get it. You want this crossover really snug. That's pretty good. Okay, so we'll pull the tail back out of the cover here, and we got to taper this before we bury it. So right where it comes out here, just start removing a few strands, and what you want is a long gradual taper on the end of the tail. So just grab a couple of strands right there. Cut them off, remove them. Just work your way up the rope, taking about every ½ an inch or so. Take a couple of strands, pull them out. All you're after here is a nice, long, gradual taper. You can actually just, the last few, you can just kind of saw them off like that at a long, gradual angle. Okay, so now we're ready to bury that inside the core, so just milk that out from the crossover. One down there like that. Okay, so now that's buried. All we have to do now is take care of this tail over here. So again, from the crossover, you're going to milk all the slack back that way. And right there where that comes out, you're going to mark it. And you're going to pull that out of there like that. And you're going to cut it off about ¼ of an inch short of that mark. And then you have to, again, pull this out as far as you can get it. Okay, remove about half the strands where it comes out of the rope. All right, and then on the rest of these, you just put a long, gradual taper. Okay, and then now we're just going to bury that, and we'll be all done. Okay, Okay, to start with, I just hold my finger or a couple fingers in here and pull and bury this tail. Okay, just pull and push on that until you'll see that tail goes inside. All right, and then we just keep moving this along as it buries. Just work your fingers like that. Grab another carabiner, put it in here like this. All right, and then I'm just going to pull this way and keep burying that until it buries completely. Almost closed. Massage it a little bit. Okay, we'll go at least one more. Looking pretty good. All right, I think that's good enough. So we just have to work our bunching back out of here. We're just gonna from both directions. Work all the bunching out of there. Okay, we're done. Let's see how we did for length. We were shooting for 28. Let's see what we got. 27 3/4. Can't do any better than that. The last thing we have to do to finish this splice is to lock stitch both ends here to make sure that the splice can't work loose. But I'll show you how to do that in a separate video.